Hey Mace, when are you gonna stop paying rent, huh? When are you gonna stop paying the bills? Tell the audiences now. When are you going to start, working and stop being so lazy all the time, just sitting around and sleeping and eating? You're so cute. You're so cute. It's time to pay some bills. It's time to get to work. It's time to make some money. Laziness. Let's react to some laziness videos.
Okay, let's go.
I've been struggling with crippling laziness for about 3 weeks now. Getting up at 11 a.m. every day. My room is a mess. I don't know how to get out of this funk. Ooh, that's pretty sad to hear. I think that what I particularly typed in TikTok to get these videos is laziness, but some I can understand as a burnout. But we will be talking about laziness and we will differentiate between laziness and burnt out. It's like the chicken and the egg, right? Which one came first? Is laziness a part of human nature, which I actually believe it is, or is it bigger than that? Is it more about the economy and the state that we are currently in, all as a society? Is there too much societal pressure, too much financial pressure? Let's look at the comments for that video. We are close to breakthrough in this season. The enemy is sending the arrow of laziness because we are close. We got this, sis. The creator said, I feel so drained and exhausted 24/7. I'm so tired. Understandable. I've also been there, of course. Someone said, you're likely just overwhelmed mentally. Take it easy. Yeah, I do believe laziness is, well, it is part of the 7 deadly sins. And I do believe that it is a sin that the enemy sends, whoever we believe the enemy is. But laziness and sloth, like all the other sins, are within the human nature. It's in everyone. It can resurface at any time, but it's also in human nature. Like I always say in a lot of my videos, it's also in human nature for people to combat that and to control that.
When you're suffering, or you're lazy, or you're procrastinating, doing something that's harder than the state that you're in bounces you back much faster. Yes. This is all based in the dynamics of dopamine. It's sort of crazy. If you know how people are procrastinating to write something and they start cleaning the house, something they normally don't want to do. Well, it's just something that's easier than the thing that you're supposed to do.
Right.
If you do something that's even harder than the thing that you're trying to avoid, all of a sudden you're able to do that. And you're like, oh, okay, well, it's just psychology, right? No, it's not psychology alone. Once dopamine is deployed at that level, you're a different person.
This person is more talking about dopamine, more of a scientific, I guess, way of explaining laziness. I don't particularly agree. I don't think it's completely about dopamine. I think it's also about biology in a way and psychology rather than just dopamine itself. It can also be a lot of spiritual factors as well. And it's also about victimizing yourself. That also plays into it. A lot of societal pressure on top of that. And also comfort seeking. Escapism. I don't know how to pronounce it, but escapism. Escapism.
Okay, it's also about that as well.
I get up and then all day I'm tired and I want to take a nap all day. I have no motivation. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to work.
Look, I don't want to judge strangers on the internet. I don't like this. She is the ultimate thirst trap queen. Yeah, that one is just...
At least she has clothes on.
Oh my god.
为什么她这么高啊？这 P 的也有点太夸张了吧？ But she hasn't really said she's burnt out. She just says, I don't want to do anything.
I guess I would call this laziness.
Because she says, I get up and then all day I'm tired. I want to get up all day. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to work. She just doesn't want to do anything. She didn't mention burnt out. So I'm going to use this as an example of laziness. When you have no motivation, when you're withdrawn, when you don't feel like doing anything. This guy,
so where were
POV,
we?
you're feeling lazy and don't feel like doing anything.
You were holding your breath.
3-1-2 method, read the caption. Okay, we won't read the caption, but 3-1-2 method. I don't know what the 3-1-2 method is, but this isn't really a video on how to do the 3-1-2 method, but there will be methods. But this guy, Jun Ya, is huge. This video got 2.1 million likes. He's huge, and he's huge on motivation and huge on, combating laziness and procrastination and striving to better. He's more about the grind, the self-improvement hustle, the work-life hustle. He's very on top of it, and he looks really fit. It'd be really cool to collaborate with him one day, but I'm not a gym junkie, so I don't know if he would want to collaborate with me.
If you're the type of person that struggles with laziness, you need to watch this video. I want you to think of a time where you've been lazy and it's actually paid off for you. I bet you can't. This is because your mind uses laziness as resistance. Because of the way our minds are wired, they try to protect you. Meaning that if you try to do something outside of your comfort zone, your mind is going to try to stop you. And it throws resistance at you in the form of laziness. You hear thoughts in your head like, I'm too tired, I'll do it later. Or you've been working so hard, why don't you just take a break? Or you're just a lazy person, accept it. These thoughts are bullshit. Every single great thing in life is on the other side of resistance. The dream car you want, the millions of dollars you want, it's on the other side of resistance. You need to step outside of your comfort zone in order to achieve these things. So instead of succumbing to these feelings, when you feel them, realize that this is the direction I'm supposed to be going because my mind's trying to stop me. And once you get comfortable with resistance, you can do anything. Follow to learn the right way to use your mind.
I think the thing is, right, this guy, I agree with this guy more than the older gentleman, the bald dude. That was saying how it's about dopamine. I agree with him more because when we are lazy, we're kind of scared, we're resistant. It's about resistance. I'm talking about proper laziness, okay? I'm not talking about being unmotivated, depressed, or being burnt out. I'm talking about proper laziness. It is kind of accepting the fact that this is the way that you're going to be. It is a resistance to want to do better for yourself. I do agree that that's fundamentally what laziness is, and not believing in yourself, maybe unwilling. It is more of a mental thing. Again, everything is a mental thing. But I don't agree with how you have to think about your dream car or like millions of dollars in order to be motivated. And I think that's what causes people to be burnt out and to be depressed in the first place, is when you think about something so... I'm not saying it's unobtainable, it's definitely obtainable and achievable for all, but I'm just saying setting such a superficial and such a high standard in order to motivate you to get out of the slump is it's a bit crazy, it's very drastic. Instead, I think it should be very simple. To get out of laziness is just to be happy. It's the resistance, it's to take away that resistance and being open and accepting of the fact that there is something better on the other side. And to motivate us out of laziness should just be as simple as it makes you happy. It makes you fit, it makes you mentally healthy, physically healthy. It can create a way better life. That's how simple it should be. And then everything else will come above that. But yes, I'm just saying having superficial things set as a benchmark to get out of laziness and to motivate yourself can be dangerous if one is not aware of what true happiness really is.
Your laziness is something that has to do with you. You're not connected to something.
Robert Greene. I really like Robert Greene. I think he wrote the 48 Law of Power. He's a great author and also a really smart man. I believe in most things this guy say. Let's see what he has to say about laziness.
Deep enough. You don't feel the necessity. You don't feel the devil at your heels. You don't feel the fact that you could very well die tomorrow that will impel you to get something done. There's no necessity behind it. And the human animal, the way we were created, is when we feel pressure, we feel the necessity to get things done. We can move mountains. But when that pressure releases and we don't feel the need to get something done, we can become incredibly lazy because there's no necessity. So you have to create necessity in your life. You have to create the need to get things done. You have to give yourself deadlines. You have to remind yourself that tomorrow everything could go kaput. You could be fired. You could die. You could have an illness. Give yourselves a sense of urgency that I need to get things done quickly.
Oh, I'm going to have to fight Mr. Green on this one.
Miss Way versus Mr. Green.
I do agree that to get out of laziness, again, you need some level of motivation, but not necessarily urgency. Again, what he says is like, you will die tomorrow. If you don't get things done, you need to create a deadline, urgency. These words are very heavy, very, what's that word? Very strong words that he's used. But like I said, I stand on my point with it from a more religious point of view. It makes you happy. It makes the community happy. It's all about joy and peace. Oh my God, my dog is dying.
Oh my God.
Mace, are you okay? And like I said, it should be just as simple as, you know, doing it slowly, cultivating and training your thoughts and self-soothe in a healthier way rather than being withdrawn or like latching onto something that's addictive to self-soothe. Because I heard a really cool quote on Instagram the other day. I'll see if I can find it and I'll put it here. We don't have a addictive personality. We just have trouble with self-soothing, right? And I really like that. And it's just as simple as that. We think, oh, there's something wrong with us. You know, why am I so lazy? Why am I this? Why am I that? When it's just, you don't necessarily have to have a strong desire, like what Mr. Green said. You don't have to have necessarily a strong desire, a deadline, an urgency. While that could help, I think it's just as simple as, and I'll say it again and I'll keep saying it, just as simple as it makes you happy. And if you're going to survive in this world, and if you're going to keep living in this world, you have to make peace with everything. Self-acceptance and, you know, find joy in little things. It's all about that. It's always about the little things. It's never about the dream car, the dream house, the dream partner, because then you'll just keep chasing something, materialism. When it's just as simple as seeing, like, you know, a friend smile, making the effort of going outside of the house, getting some vitamin D, eating some fruit for some vitamin C or A or whatever it is. Having a great meal, laughing with friends, you know, when you look in the mirror and you like what you see, those little tiny moments. Okay, those are the things that are going to make us happy and get us out of the laziness. That should be kind of the only thing that motivates you to get out of laziness: joy, peace, and love. And then after that, you can have whatever goals you want to set. I'm not saying you should be limited only to that, but I think that's my take and what I would say on it. Hello, everybody. Ugh. I've gone off the grid. Hi, everyone, and welcome back. And this week I want to talk about sloth, okay? So we've touched on lust, right? And then...
Oh, I can't think of it right now.
Oh, gluttony, greed, envy, and now we're on to sloth. We're on to the 5th sin, right? Thank you for sticking around if you made it this far, because I can understand how these topics can get quite controversial and quite long as well, some of them. But thank you for sticking around. The word, which is in Chinese, is 躺平, right? Literally translates to lying flat. But in China, it's a little bit different from sloth. It comes from more of a religious standing point, whereas 躺平 in China is more of like a societal thing, more of like, this is literally the internet's explanation. It's basically the unwillingness to pursue societal expectations like a family, house, car, things like that. Not really wanting those things because, let's be real,
the economy these days is a little intense, a little frightening,
a little concerning. And when something feels so unobtainable, we tend to withdraw and want to just kind of give up, because if it's so unobtainable,
why should I try anyway, right?
So mine and everyone else's question is it really the economy, or has sloth been something that's always been around? Is it the economy that's unmotivating people? Is that the real issue, or is sloth something that's always been around and is part of human nature? The economist in me wants to say it's economy, but the religious in me is trying to say this is a part of human nature, but it's also a part of human nature to be able to try and control that, right? There's a lot of people on the internet that say if the job's paid more, it will probably motivate me to want to achieve better, or it would motivate me to want to work more, it would give me more aspiration. Which is kind of true, but I do think if we look at it like that, then the whole of society will kind of plummet in a way, which it kind of is already, which is not really necessarily anybody's fault at the end of the day. But I do think it's every individual's responsibility. Some people might not like me saying that, some people on the internet might fight me on that, but I do think that it's every individual's responsibility to at least heal themselves, to get emotionally healthy, physically healthy. Just not even for money, just in general, to get that sorted, to learn, to discover more things. But I can also understand it's hard. So this episode will be very interesting for me to dissect. But there is an example that having a lot of money or coming from money might not be a solution to sloth. It might not be as easy, I guess, to solve the issue as many would think.
Because here's a funny story.
The case of the laziest man in the world. Jeremiah Carlton, an Englishman. He is called literally the laziest man in the world. Here's a photo of Jamie.
Hello.
Jamie was an Englishman, famous for spending nearly his entire adult life in bed at the age of 19. Why? Why did Jamie do this? He was fine, he was perfectly physically and mentally normal, but he inherited a large fortune, which allowed him to hire servants to care for him. From then on, he rarely left his bed, spending around 70 years there. He spent 70 years mainly in his manor, in his bed. Spent 70 years there where he was bathed, fed, otherwise extended by staff until his death at 89. His lifestyle became a legend of extreme slothfulness, showcasing a rare historical example of prolonged intentional disease. I mean idleness, not disease, but I would call that a disease. That is a prime example. Someone in the comment of like a video about this on YouTube was like, he's not lazy, he's lucky. I don't know about that. I think if he used his fortunes to a greater cause or greater good, more than just lying in his bed for, 70 years, it might have been better. I wouldn't call that lucky, but it is an example of how money doesn't really solve as much problems, like these human nature problems, as we think. Money can actually have the opposite effect most of the time for the 7 deadly sins that I mentioned, for some of the things that human nature have. Money's not really necessarily the root issue, but it can solve a lot of issues, that I will admit. But sloth is, like everything else, it's a mentality. Yes, it is a mentality that we can shift in order to have a more joyous, happy, I've said it so many times, so I'll say it again, joyous, happy, peaceful, healthy well-being for all. My little lazy dog, Macy, is one of the best dogs I've ever met in my entire life. Macy literally does not do anything. She doesn't even like walking. You put a leash on her, she like walks about 2 steps, she sits, and then she sniffs around, and she doesn't come like to me. But the good thing about Macy, about her slothfulness, is that she just lays in the little bed. I'll add a photo in the study, and she just like lays by my side until I'm ready to give her attention. She is the best emotional support dog. But yeah, I'm so grateful for Macy.
Cute little lazy thing, you're so lazy. You're so lazy.
Sloth, one of the 7 deadly sins, represents a profound laziness or a lack of motivation that can negatively impact people, us, and society as a whole. It often leads to personal stagnation. I don't know why I did that. Ew. Weakened relationships and a decline in productivity, while also posing risks to mental and physical health. Yes. But now we're ready to look at this theme of slothness by giving an example of 2 movies. 2 movies that are really different but has the same theme involved. 7, I guess a lot of people have heard about 7, which is a movie with Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, and Gwyneth Paltrow. Oh, 3 of my favorite actors. Brad Pitt.
Wow.
He's a freaking heartthrob. I love that guy. And it's also a really good movie. Basically, 7 is a really cool thriller, psychological thriller about a serial killer that kills people based on the 7 sins, right? I won't give the movie away, but worth a watch. It's an award-winning film as well. Kind of give you guys a background on everything that I talk about, but you get to watch Brad Pitt on screen, so it's probably way more exciting for the ladies out there. Goodbye. 7, all right? A movie in 1995.
Some kind of friggin' wax sculpture or something.
Sloth. 3 days ago. This must be the first one.
You got what you deserved.
He's alive! He's alive! Chucker's alive! Stop breathing!
Guns down! Emergency on that ambulance!
Basically, in this scene, the murderer killed this guy because of sloth. This guy was a drug dealer and he refused to, you know, be motivated with trying harder in life, wanting to do more, better the community, better himself. And this guy was always in this apartment, apparently. This guy never left his house. He was always in his apartment. So the murderer tied him to the bed, I believe, and injected him with the drugs that he was selling. The murderer kind of played karma on this guy. A little gruesome, but the point of it was to show the consequences you will have for your sins, not appreciating life. But it is to highlight an aspect of us not appreciating our lives. And this movie definitely made me appreciate my life. I can definitely say that. It kind of scared me into appreciating my life. But the drug dealer did die a very gruesome way.
I'm scared to death.
And in WALL-E, a film in 2008, sloth is vividly illustrated by the depiction of humans abroad as spaceships who have become lethargic and entirely reliant on technology for their daily needs.
All morning, so let's hover over to the driving range and hit a few virtual balls into space.
Nah, we did that yesterday. I don't want to do that.
Well, then what do you want to do?
I don't know. Something.
This portrayal serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of overconsumption and environmental neglect, highlighting how sloth can lead to mental and physical deterioration. Everyone in WALL-E was chubby, overweight, and they all looked the same. They looked happy and ignorant and in bliss. Ultimately, the film encourages a reflection on the consequences on sloth, advocating to a return on responsibility and engagement with the world. So yes, it is our individual responsibility to do our part. If we're all individually taking little bits of responsibility, then the world will be a way more beautiful place. I believe there are struggles in everything. There's pain and struggles in self-improving, but it does lead to a better place. And there's also pain and suffering by withdrawing and not taking responsibility and going into a slump. There's pain in everything, and there's hardships in everything. There's definitely, it requires effort in different ways no matter what we do. So I hope that we all pick the healthiest way for ourselves and also society as a whole, because we do share this planet. So what does everyday sloth look like and how can we improve it? Well, I'm glad you asked. Well, so what does everyday sloth look like and how does one resolve it? How do we get out of our slump? How do we change and shift our mentality? So first we talked about what it is, and we kind of touched on how it's caused, right? It's ultimately up to us to find out what it's caused by. Is it really financial pressure, societal pressure? Is it coming from the family? Is it coming from the pressure you put on yourself? Is it the economy? Do you have a mortgage you need to pay off? Do you have a family and kids? Or is it more like trauma? Is it a bad habit that you've developed, a coping mechanism? Whatever it is, you have to first kind of realize what it is, and that's up to us on figuring that out. And then realizing the science, right? Everyday sloth. So everyday habits, procrastination and tasks, putting off responsibility, like even looking after yourself, your personal hygiene. Are you eating healthy? Are you sleeping on time? These tiny little things is so important for your mental health. And if you don't have that, it's time to do it. It's time to do it. Get up and do it. Get up and do it. Just do it. Don't have any reason but yourself. Don't let yourself down.
Just do it.
Avoiding exercise, you don't ever leave the house. I'm actually pretty guilty on this one. I don't do crazy exercises like I used to at the gym, but I do go for walks, okay? I do go for walks.
And I walk up and down the stairs.
But I wouldn't say I'm lazy, but I don't like intense workouts. But I do go for walks. I do stretch every now and then, and I meditate every morning, okay? Because I have dogs. I have to walk my dog. Maybe not Macy, but I walk Benji regularly. Ordering takeout often. I used to do this more so during uni, but I've also met people that are incredibly busy, but they can also get things done. Like they can also cook a meal, do meal prep. There's different levels of motivation, and so you really can't compare. There's always ways to do better for yourself. So there's really no excuses for me, but I do cook now every single day, I would say. Very occasionally, I'd eat out or take out, and it's also healthier to cook. It saves money. Leaving dishes in the sink, that's a very specific one. I don't know why I put that there. But yes, actually, you know what? My dad, personal story. My dad used to get so angry and triggered when I used to leave a cup somewhere or like a plate in the sink, right? And I remember like a really core memory of him. Look, I appreciated his intentions and it's worked, but I do think he could have done it differently or responded differently, but I guess he did need that type of response in order to change me in the fastest way, I guess. But I remember he'll get so triggered, and then this one time he like got triggered, got really angry, and verbally told me that I was a lazy pig. But it worked. It definitely worked. Again, not necessary for that type of reaction. And later in life, you know, I would always pick up my own things, always wash the dishes before, right after I eat. And I noticed that my dad was right in a way, because it got rid of my procrastination. It got rid of my I'll do it later type of mindset. I see it there, I do it, I don't have to think about it later. I get it done now, and that's it. That's that. It's out of the way. It really did cultivate a better habit for me. I've got to give that man credit. He did what he did. And he changed me. He changed me for the better. So I guess I am quite anxious of a person every now and then though, because of my dad's temper, but I love that man, but also
He has some inner work to do as well. But anyway, moving on.
taking shortcuts at work. I think there's something like every minute has to be paid, otherwise I'm dipping right after work. And I do believe that hard work gets noticed. I do believe that. And I like to do that for myself. I don't want to do that because of like $1 or other people or how they see me. I do it because it makes myself sleep well at the end of the night. Hey, I got this done. No one saw, but hey, I got that done. I did that. I made a tiny impact that only I know. But yeah, but then again, that's all I can say. It also comes down to our individual levels of understanding, our own individual levels of energy and motivation. So yeah, using technology instead of thinking. I back this one. Where AI is going with ChatGPT. My ex-boyfriend used to write emails with ChatGPT. I've never written any single email with ChatGPT or any messages to anyone with ChatGPT in my life, right? Because I still want everything I say to become authentic, and it comes from me, and I learned that way. It might be a little bit, I might be a little lost for words sometimes, but you know, it trains my brain to sharpen. I'm authentic. Well, I like to be as authentic as I can be. I'm not denying that AI, some things have made our lives easier and can really help us in a way, but it can also cause a huge amount of laziness as well. So I guess that this is all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. To conclude, one more time of everything I just said, ultimately the sin of sloth represents not just an absence of action, but a refusal to take responsibility individually for the society and for ourselves. And it can also have far-reaching effects on personal fulfillment and societal well-being. It's not just about laziness. I think people that are feeling lazy aren't necessarily selfish, but I think it causes a very selfish effect, because you're neglecting yourself and others. But I don't think that they mean to do it and it's necessarily their fault. It's a lot of other things, but it is their responsibility to try and change that for the well-being of themselves and everyone around them. But that's all for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you have an amazing week, month, life, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Stay cool, stay fit, stay motivated, and be kind to yourself and others. Bye.